So, hello everyone. I'm here with Shane Steele over there, another fantastic math teacher that I work with. And what we're gonna be doing today is creating a tier list, but not just any tier list. We're gonna be ranking all GCSE math topics into tiers. So Shane, do you want to explain how the tier system works?
Yes, we've got the S tier, which is obviously the best topics you can have. Then it goes down towards the bottom. I'm not sure. Do they stand for anything in particular?
I'm not sure they do. I think eventually we'll work out whether top tier means things where we want to come up in an exam or just things we rate the highest. I think we'll learn that.
Probably the last one.
Yeah, I think we'll learn that as we go along. So we're going to start with speed, velocity, density, and pressure, which is the top one there. What is your first instinct for rating speed, velocity, density, and pressure?
I'm putting it pretty high.
You're pretty okay. The reason that I think it's a bit dead is that it's always the same. It's always just draw a triangle and then sort something out and use a bit of algebra. And also pressure. Who gives? Who cares? I've never seen it comes up.
It's the same question. If it does, they give you the formula.
And then you need to use it.
Yeah.
I would put it the most solid B tier possible. If it came up in an exam, this would be my face. And when I use it, I feel like that is the most solid beta I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think it's not got anything interesting on it when you come across it in an exam.
Yeah, I've never seen it fancy. So speed, solid B tier. Okay, vectors is going solid S tier.
Yeah, I love vectors.
Vectors is the most S tier possible. The scope for vectors is unreal. In GCSE, those nutty equating coefficient questions at the end of the paper, insane, not even meant to be possible. And the fact that vectors end up being crazy throughout your whole... They're one of the few things on this list that is actually relevant.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say, yeah. They come up a lot.
They come up a lot. They're interesting, they're relevant. Class. What's your view on sampling?
Not great. Not great.
The issue is, pre-COVID and post-COVID, I think sampling has a different rating.
Yeah, I think statistics has a much higher, that sort of stuff, looking at data, much more in the public eye now, I guess.
I think pre-COVID sampling is so D tier.
Yeah.
Kids are like, I don't care how many red apples are in this basket. I don't care how many gym kits I need to buy for my friend. I don't care. But now that it's 6% of, I see stats 6% of the German COVID is all the UK variant. It's like, how do they know that? Have they tested every single one?
Yeah, census versus sampling.
That's versus sampling. So where you, I think it's more interesting nowadays than speed, velocity, density, and pressure.
Yeah, I think, and definitely has more. I think it probably has more scope for interesting as well.
Yeah, I think the issue is that in the GCSE it's not interesting, but in life it's crazy interesting.
But that's what we're thinking about, how we ranking these, just on questions that come up with them, or where they can take you. Where they can take you.
Yeah, so sampling's high B tier.
A tier?
Oh, I think high B tier.
Yeah.
I think A tier is going to stand for algebra. Let's be real. A tier is going to be algebra tier. Okay, pie charts.
Very
C tier.
I don't hate them, but they don't offer me too much.
I would never think, oh my god, I wonder which degrees this Walker's crisp. It's always so. That's the thing about these questions. Always so weird. It's like, oh, these Walker's crisp flavors. How many degrees would be salt and vinegar? And it's like, no.
What does that mean?
Exactly. But the issue is, in the meme world, pie charts. If we gave this tier list to normal people, I think pie charts will be one of the few things they know what it is.
Yeah, I think pie charts have gone up in my estimation since starting using forms. Just so I can see what option people are choosing.
So now you get that visualization. But we both settled on C tier immediately. So we're going C tier. We're going to it. And also, pie chart, they're C tier maths. Okay, scatter graphs. That's D tier. Scatter graphs are C or D tier.
They
straight
can be.
up.
They can be good.
Yeah, but nobody's ever got excited. I have never seen a scatter graph question that's excited me. Ever.
No, I haven't. But yeah,
C tier? I think low C tier. Low C tier. D tier is going to be reserved for the things for two-way tables, and D tier is going to have its and histograms. Yeah, we'll get. Oh, okay, we're histograms now.
D tier.
For most D tier. D tier was created for histograms.
I was tempted to make it a tier after D, just called histograms.
I think you can. I know we were talking about this before, but is D tier a histogram? How are we creating histograms? They just all happen to have the same frequency class width. Because that's my issue with histograms, is sometimes in the normal world, people say things are histograms when really they're just bar charts where the class width is 1.
Yeah.
And
it like histograms always, whenever I did them at school, I was just like, what? I don't understand the point in them.
yeah, and like we've all done that lesson where it's like, oh my god, look, obviously this bar, even though it only represents one person, is different to this bar, which represents loads of people. But I don't think they're intuitive.
I was always just like, it's just a confusing bar chart.
Yeah, exactly. In the real world, your average person is not looking at histogram being like, oh my god, what's the frequency density on that guy? Like, nobody.
I'm also pretty sure when you make a histogram in Excel, it just makes a bar chart.
Really?
I don't think it actually does.
I do think there is a histogram like bar chart. People don't understand the difference, so just say histogram for bar chart. So
histogram sounds like the maths word for a bar chart to a lot of people, I think.
Definitely. Okay. Frequency polygon is seriously D tier. I'd put it just above histograms because it's in that data analysis world. Lower than I actually put it lower than histograms. So I think what you put it is correct because.
Oh, can I move? Oh, I can move this order as well.
Yeah.
Was scatter graphs higher than pie charts?
No, for the memes, like the content you can make with the pie chart is more the scatter graph.
Do you think?
Have you had to teach frequency polygons?
Not yet. No.
It's dead. It's dead. I don't. They're not interesting. Whereas histograms, look, you can get a good 6-marker end of a paper question that at least makes you think. Because I think frequency polygons, it's always spot the mistake. Why is the lines collected at the bottom? They shouldn't be. Why is it not drawn in the middle? Dead. Move on.
Same answers every time.
Same answers every time.
Box plots.
Is cumulative frequency in here? Or should we put box plots and cumulative frequency?
Yeah.
Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Maybe we're being slight. No, C,
C.
but more interesting than scatter graphs. I think the thing about box plots is we might maybe because we've started with data, we've gone quite mean towards data, but it's just because it doesn't end up being that interesting at GCSE, even though data is really cool. And box plot as well.
I can still vividly remember doing the my maths task on box plots when I was at school.
And was it?
It was just boring. It was just like drawing box plots. I was like, what am I doing?
And also on MathsWatch, drawing a box plot on MathsWatch is actually the bane of everyone's life. Like having to get those ruler lines and
exactly
disaster.
Perfect.
Means and averages, A tier.
You get some
incredibly useful, great questions. Shows up everywhere.
It's one of the parts of the maths GCSE you will continue to use if you never touch maths again, really.
Yeah, and also the things that it's important to have an intuitive idea about what they're saying. Like if it says, "Oh, I'm going to apply for this job in this company, and the median wage is £8 an hour," as opposed to knowing that the mean wage is £8 an hour, or even that the range, even though range is not an average, it's usually shoved in there. Very important to know the difference between all of them, I think.
Yeah.
Means and averages is solid A tier.
Yeah.
Great questions. Lots of fun. Tree diagrams, we can say it at the same time. We're both going to say the same thing.
S tier. Yeah, I love them. They're so good.
Unreal. unreal, visually stunning.
Such simple, elegant,
And also they encapsulate the best parts of maths. Interesting probability, interesting counting problems,
mischievous probability.
Unreal. Really, I like it might end up, and also kids like them.
Yeah.
Don't like vectors.
They tend to sort of make sense as well, a bit as well to kids. I think like they like, oh, I just got to follow this path, and that's the route.
Yeah, they're like, this is the decision-making process I make. Whereas I think vectors, no matter how much like we go down this road and then down this road, it bats people. Tree diagrams, I might actually put it above vectors, even though relevance-wise in life.
No, I would agree with you. I think
I've never seen a tree diagram out of school. Ever. And I watch a lot of YouTube. I've never seen a tree diagram.
Can't think of the time I've seen it.
Yeah, conditional probability. Is that in GCSE? Well,
yeah.
That's got to be that's an A or S tier sort of dealio.
I'm trying to think between S and A. I think it's only A.
Yeah. I think it's more interesting than means and averages.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because when does it come up in GCSE? Because given given something else, it's like Key Stage 5.
It does come up. It was in the. I think these are mainly all the higher topics.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, I rate conditional probability. I think similar to tree diagrams, but less beautiful.
Yeah.
Two-way tables, similar to tree diagrams, but way less beautiful.
Yeah.
B or C tier. If we look at what we have in,
I would say C.
Tier, I'd say more interesting than scatter graphs, less interesting than box plots. Yeah, average.
Never really liked them.
No, fractions. You can't. I mean, fractions are goat. The fractions are literally like they're the thing that if you ask anyone what maths is, they're like, "Oh, you fractions," and I'm like, yeah. I rate fractions.
I love fractions. I think.
Right. I think they're one of the most important things we can learn in all existence.
We should abolish the division symbol and just have fractions.
Yeah, why do we need that symbol? Takes so much longer to draw.
And it's so much more confusing.
Well, I don't.
Like if you just taught it as fractions.
Yeah, but then what if you're doing a half divided by a third, and then you end up with the stacks on stacks on stacks? That's a disaster. So division symbols are only relevant with fractions, but I would say
they should be taught. They should be taught second, really. You should teach fractions first, and then teach the division symbol.
Yeah, I rate that. I put fractions S tier, bottom of S tier.
Yeah, solid S tier.
Oh my god, you can't not love it. You can't not love it. You can't love it. Quadratics. It's S tier. It's S tier.
It's S tier.
We're talking modelling. We're talking expanding double brackets. We're talking factorising.
Perfect. We're talking sum of difference two squares.
The two squares, my favourite maths. We're talking. Is difference two squares its own category?
I don't think so on here. No.
Okay, well then quadratics has to be S tier.
Yeah.
More interesting than fractions.
Solving, drawing, all of it.
Singing the quadratic formula with your friends. Higher than fractions. Higher than. I'm putting it second.
Second.
Yeah. So relevant, and also like think how crazy it gets when you're doing trig quadratic equations.
Ooh.
Yeah, huge. And also like when you realize that you can solve imaginary numbers coming up with quadratic equations.
Yeah.
Solving x squared equals -4. Oh yeah, unreal.
Sequences.
What do you reckon?
I
love sequences.
You what?
I really like sequences in general. The idea of sequences I love. Like, have you seen? I don't know
like them, but I don't think they're like sensational in the GCSE. Yeah, I was going to say top of beta.
Yeah. In GCSE they don't dazzle, even though they really could. Like, so the issue is that it gets interesting in A level. We do like summation notation. Unreal. Series unreal. Sequences is like the baby brother, which is fine. There's some great
understanding, but I think it doesn't get really good until you get to the A level.
Wow, do I really think means and averages are better than sequences? Yeah.
Well, because we were talking about with means and averages, how useful they are as well, just in general.
Yeah, they are
about
like
that.
Inequalities. In life, inequality very important. Like having an understanding of something being worth more than something else or less than or whatever, interesting. At GCSE, oh my word, drawing things on a number line, fun, love maths. Top of C tier, bottom of B tier.
I think C.
I think C tier. I think it just doesn't get. Once you do like linear programming at A level with like
A level, it definitely gets more interesting. Like, but
yeah, once you're once you're doing like optimization problems, interesting. But
yeah, getting simplex tables out there.
Exactly. But here, none of that. Linear graphs. It's got. I mean, students hate them. I live for them.
Yeah,
I live for them. I would put linear graphs in S tier.
So do I think. I think they're great. I love them.
More interesting than fact. Linear graphs, unbelievably useful for real life. Yeah. Unbelievably important, unbelievably interesting. One of my favorite things about linear graphs is when you can solve geometry problems by setting them up on a linear on like Desmos, like writing the equation of all the lines on it and then just like finding where they meet on Desmos. Love that stuff. The scope for linear graphs is off the chain. Definitely S tier.
It's something I find students tend to struggle a lot with, like just drawing them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think also, I don't know whether maybe we don't link sequences and linear graphs enough for it to seem interesting, but linear graphs is really all these like a lot of these topics use linear graphs to demonstrate or to show patterns in the information. But I love linear graphs. Sim equations, solving them with matrices.
Solving them with matrices is the way.
Is S tier.
I love them. They're because if you look in the newspaper, like every Sunday, there's simultaneous equation questions that people just don't realize.
How?
There's like problems and like you can either solve them just by like thinking about them using like some logic, which probably most people do.
In the problem section?
Yeah, and then I just set them up as algebra, and then like a minute later, via my matrices, I've got my simultaneous equation solution, and I've won.
So you're saying that is that when it's like 3 apples, like worded questions?
Yeah.
Okay, like a goat. You know, there's grids which are like goat, flour, banana is £6. Goat, flour, flour is £2. Flour, goat, goat. Yeah, I love it. Okay, good in inverted commas. Good meme potential. There's like viral math things which are like, can you work out this math problem? 3 calculators equals 30. A calculator and 2 glasses of wine equals. Yeah. I rate it. I would put it bottom of S tier. Yeah.
Trig graphs. I love them. Are you a cast person or trig graph person?
Trig graphs.
Yeah.
Trig graphs every day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely.
The issue is we're going to fill up S tier, but trig graphs is going way into S tier. It's more interesting than
I'm putting it above vectors, I think.
Yeah. That's another one that for GCSE, not all students get to witness it. Like it's not a thing it's not that accessible to everyone at GCSE, but obviously at A level it's everything. But for maths in life, showing cyclical events, music is trig graphs. Yeah,
and
solid.
You get the great word sinusoidal, which is just a fantastic word.
Sinusoidal. I don't think I ever say that out loud, but yeah, sinusoidal. It's a strong. Yeah. Okay, bearings. I've never witnessed anything more B or C tier.
Yeah, it's very, very mediocre.
The amount of time it's like there's a boat, and it's like some kids have never seen boats.
Yeah.
Like
and a lighthouse. And it's like,
they've never seen a compass. They've never seen a lighthouse. Bearings are mid C tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good because it makes it seem like we don't just put data in C tier. Because it is looking a bit like that. Angles and polygons.
I really like.
Ever since external angles or whatever,
Oh, external angles are. I don't know why I don't use them more, but
where would you put it?
I think A. You can get some really good problems with angles and polygons.
Yeah, you can. I do like geometry questions. That is true.
And normally I don't like geometry that much.
But I wouldn't put it above means and averages or conditional.
No, I think bottom of A tier.
Bottom of A tier is fine. Yeah. I mean, my issue with the scope's quite small for angles of polygons. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. I've never seen that many interesting questions with angles of polygons. But I will accept your if it gave you that buzz, fine.
I think I've just taught it recently and I've just really enjoyed it.
I would put it top of B tier as opposed to bottom of A tier.
Should we put it there instead?
Yeah, I just don't feel like it's in the same bracket as those upper echelon maths topics.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
Constructions and loci. In social distancing, loci vital. Vital. Constructions also. This is going to be one of those issues where constructions and loci are actually relevant to the world. Like people actually use, like architects actually use them. But the issue is compasses are a disaster. Doing it on MathsWatch is a disaster.
Yeah. Although
they have updated it. Have you checked and seen the new MathsWatch constructions update?
No.
They've updated. Apparently, I haven't tried it. But I'm not.
I think you can do some interesting things with them, but in terms of what you get in the GCSE, you don't get.
Yeah.
I think probably similar to bearings.
I think it's similar to bearings. I think it's. I think box plots are better than bearings. Just looking at that feels a bit road.
You think box plots are better?
Yeah. And I think constructions and loci are a bit better than bearings.
Yeah, I'd say there's more interesting constructions than bearings.
Yeah. Circles. Are we talking algebra or geometry? Because it doesn't matter. Top of A or bottom of S. In my book, circles are unreal. So interesting. Radians. The unit circle. Like, love a circle.
I think top of A. I don't think they're quite S.
I would happily have top of A. Definitely top of A. Estimation.
Useful.
Very. I'm putting this in A tier.
I think it's A tier because it's genuinely a very useful skill to have.
So the ability to know when you're going shopping how much your things should cost, so you don't get ripped off, massive. The ability to the one that I think is really interesting recently is the idea of like landmark numbers, just like knowing how many people are in the UK, so that when you see things are going to cost I don't know how many people. I don't know my landmark numbers. How many people are in the UK?
I'm not sure.
You know what? 17% of people have been vaccinated. 17% is 11 million. So it's about 65 million people in the UK. Does that seem legit? I can look it up.
Oh,
66.65.
Not bad.
Not bad. Knowing that, and let's say you see, a government policy is about. So let's pretend it's just 50 million, and a government policy is like £1 million for a policy.
Yeah.
That's only per person. What's 1 million divided by 50 million? Is it 20p?
What was the
1 divided by 5? It's 20p. 1 divided by 50. Oh, it's 2p.
1 million divided by 50 million.
Yeah. 0.02. Am I going crazy?
Yeah, 1 over 50, 0.02.
Okay.
Maths.
Yeah, knowing that a policy that costs 1 million to the government is actually only costing everyone in the country 2 pence, I think is really interesting. And their ability to estimate. Yeah. A tier.
It's useful even in GCSE beyond estimation questions, where you're just like when you're multiplying decimals and you're like, oh, I can just think, well, this is just below 2, this is just below 3. It's gonna be around 6, whatever, like something which a lot of people don't do, and then they get an answer which is like 78, and you're like, well, if you think about this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd put it just below circles.
Just below circles.
Yeah, because I think it's actually weirdly a better skill than means and averages. And conditional probability, I'm now feeling a bit like We rated that very highly, but I think conditional probability might be less than means and averages, especially at GCSE.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely allowed to change this whilst we do it. It's
Yeah,
work
yeah.
in progress.
I mean, Bayes' theorem, S tier, but there's no Bayes' theorem here. So, trig.
Yeah.
I'll let you put it.
Above simultaneous equations, near trig graphs.
I think it's weird. It's interesting that they're separate. I'll put it below fractions. Trig's unreal. You can't. Trig is unreal.
Yeah.
Like, for everything we said about trig graphs, trigonometry is unreal. Love it. I think we can move on. I rate it very highly.
Just remember, it's just a ratio.
It's
what everyone forgets.
Just that classic questions
where it's like, this is 60% of the length of that side. Show that sine, and you're like, how do I do this? And you're like, what? It's just a ratio.
Yeah, and it was the worst answered question in our mock last year, where it was like cos theta is 7/11, and then cos theta becomes 6/11. Has it got bigger? Has cos theta got bigger or smaller? And people always thought it was theta, the angle that's cared about, but no, it's just the ratio of the adjacent hypotenuse length in that triangle. Yeah. I rate it very highly. Volume and surface area.
I think similar to speed, velocity, density, and pressure.
Yeah.
I don't think you get too much interesting about. I think above, but I don't think you get.
I think below. I think below.
Below.
It's important to know how speed works in life.
I guess, yeah.
Velocity and volume and surface area. I think weirdly, volume and surface area is only useful in an estimation sense, where you want to be like, oh, like how big a rucksack do I need, or like, oh, how many cups of water is that going to fill? But actually doing the maths of it, I don't think it's that.
And I think they also get more, like volume definitely gets more interesting when you bring it into density, I guess, as well. Sort of like sub topic. So yeah, I think below is actually a good shout.
And also, I mean, it's another one of those things that gets way more interesting once you start optimizing things for differentiation.
Yeah.
And once you start, like, I don't know, volumes of revolution, integration stuff. But GCSE topic, B tier. Transformations. Are we talking transformations of graphs or transformations like reflect, rotate?
Probably reflect, rotate, translate.
What's your instinct saying? I love our details, just histograms and frequency polygons.
I don't think they're very interesting.
I'd put them in C tier. I don't know. Translation is very interesting, but that's vectors. Translation is vectors. I'm happy putting it there. I mean, it's always a fun lesson. Like, oh my god, if you flip all these, it spells the word maths. Like, that's always a fun.
But other than that, it doesn't offer much. I don't think
everyone's done that worksheet in the world.
Yeah.
Similar shapes. One of the most, I think, underrated. So underrated.
Yeah, I watched your
a good
maths challenge bonus parts video where you were doing the similar triangles question.
That was good. Once I realised that, I was like, that is a class question. So I would put it in A tier. I don't think kids would put it anywhere near A tier.
No. I think also, like a few years ago, I wouldn't have put it near A tier.
Yeah, it's one of the things I have taught the least, actually. But I think linear area scale factor stuff, above conditional probability.
Below means and averages?
Yeah, similar shapes, class.
Products of primes, I think we both know that's S tier.
It's the most S tier. I'm putting it next to tree diagrams. I
would possibly put it above because I think it just makes some questions so nice.
Yeah, put it top. Product primes is the best thing you learn at school.
Yeah.
That nobody cares about. Like, it's the most fun for math challenges ever. Like, the ability to work out lowest common multiples, highest common factors, how many factors something has. Like, there's
what was that question we did from Brilliant, where it was like, find the probability that a random factor of this number is a multiple of like 20.
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah, exactly. Product of prime. Whenever product of prime question comes up, the issue is at GCSE it's usually dead. That's the only issue. At GCSE they ask you to find it and then find highest common factor and lowest common multiple.
But if you think about it, you
The
only
maths
need
challenges though.
the skill that you learn in GCSE for it to be interesting. There's not like additional skills on top of that, I don't think.
Yeah, that's true. I'm putting it top of S tier because I love it. You love it. We love it. It's going top of S tier.
Yeah.
But I think, if anything, we should spend more time thinking about it. Do you know what are great questions? Like, find the square root of like, I'll go to a simple one. Find the square root of 25 times 9. And it's 45. Because it's 5 times 5 times 3 times 3. No, wait, it's 15. Wait, 25. What did I say? 25 times 9? Oh, it's 15.
Yeah, 3 times
Because
5.
5 times 5 times 3 times 3 is just 5 times 3 times 5 times 3.
Yeah.
Those questions, like, what do you need to times 20 times 8 by to make it a square number? Product primes. Such an untapped market in the GCSE world. Top
It really
tier.
is. Like, that. Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it.
I think until you get into math challenges, you don't realize how cool it is. But then once you do it, you realize it's like the most important skill ever.
But yeah, that's also the problem. I think students tend not to be as enthusiastic about math challenges as us.
Yeah, that is true. Indices.
Interesting.
It's interesting that standard forms straight after. High beat it.
Yeah, I was going to say top B.
Like, people like algebra. Simplifying things is really fun.
Yeah,
uncontroversial. Standard form next to it.
Yeah, you need the indices to do the stand. I think standard form is
more interesting.
Because also when obviously every student or every person, all of us mess around with our calculator, and before you know what standard form is, you're like, why does my calculator times 10 then 6? And like, why is the 10 smaller than the 6?
That is so true. I'm just looking at mine now.
Like,
wait, what do you mean 6? Why does it say 6? Mine just says times 10.
No, but when you do you know when like you're...
Oh my god, you literally just put a 6 next to it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't do the power. And we're like, why is the 10 smaller than the 6?
I actually never knew that. That's so weird.
And do you know when like you're just typing numbers and like you type a really long number and then it just gives it to you in standard form?
Oh yeah. When kids like my calculator's broken, I'm like, it's just in standard form.
Yeah.
It's just in standard form. Yeah. The fact that calculators do that for like long division, like big division-y stuff, actually messes up so many students. Look, I mean, not that I need to know what 987 divided by this number is, but kids are like, oh, it's 9. And I'm like, it's not 9.
Yeah.
That's for your estimation. Very, very important.
Very important.
Yeah.
And then
percentages...
standard form, I think, is also very interesting when you come to like in physics when you have units.
Yeah.
And the different like milli, kilo, all that, like they're all in times 10 to the 3 and then 6, 9, 12, which I quite like.
I rate that very highly. Definitely very interesting.
Although separate point though, kilograms do annoy me.
The idea of them,
because the standard unit for mass is kilograms, but for the whole system it's meant to be
grams.
But the whole system is meant to be that you don't have the prefix. So that's why it's normally meters, liters, stuff like that. But then for some reason they chose with mass to do kilograms, and it
as
really
opposed to. Is there some? But there's nothing for meters is 100 centimeters, but there's nothing for 100 grams.
You probably can get centigrams, just no one uses it.
People say centigrams.
I don't see why you couldn't. I just don't think it's ever used. It's like you get centiliters, but you see that on like the side of a can of Coke, and that's it.
Oh yeah, and people don't know what it means.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 50 cl. That is actually true. Okay, yeah, percentages. They've got to be high A tier because, in fact, they should be an S tier. It's just like S tier is very, very full. But they're probably top of A tier.
This is the skew of maths teachers, I guess, rating maths topics.
Top of A tier.
Yeah.
Unbelievably useful. And actually, you do get very, very, very interesting questions at GCSE about it. Like you do. Like it is just really interesting. And we haven't really done fraction, central decimals, equivalent, whatever, but percentages of class. And also, once you realise that 18% of 50 is 50% of 18.
Yeah. One of those things I still forget every time I'm trying to do something.
I know. It's one of those things it's one of the things I bring up at the pub that nobody cares about. I'm like, hey, buddy, like you just said that you're just having a beer. You're like, what's 16.7% of 10? And they're like, I don't care. And I'm like, what if I told you it was 1.67? Do you care then? And the answer is no. They still don't care. But yeah, percentages class. Also, in the world, GDP, like whenever they talk about compound interest, savings, percentages should be S tier. It's like the most. It's probably okay. I'm going to say it. The thing that is used most that we teach in GCSE in the world. Tax.
Yeah.
It's got to be fractions is S tier, and I prefer percentages to fractions.
I think it's got to be S tier.
Can we put fractions at top of A?
Move fractions
to top of A. I don't feel that that's wrong. I'm not against
happy with
it. That. I'm not against it either. Ratio and proportion. I would put that high in A. That's high A tier. That's very high A tier.
Above or below fractions?
I mean, seeing as ratio and proportion is basically fractions, I'm putting it higher than fractions.
Higher?
Yeah, higher. Ratio is unreal. Sharing in a ratio is unreal. Proportionality, unreal. Very relevant.
And you do get some very interesting, like, last couple questions on ratio.
Very, like, black counters, white counters, circle counters, square counters, that stuff. Yeah. You get some. I really struggle with those. It's like that. You know what I'm talking about? The indirect proportionally sort of things.
Yeah.
Like 6 people take 4 days to build a well. How many do 18 people take to build 2 wells? That stuff. I rate ratio proportion very highly.
Yeah. Accuracy.
Okay, the accuracy is a classic example of actually very interesting and very boring at GCSE.
Yeah. I'd say
like
GCSE, it definitely doesn't excite me.
No, but it should. But bottom of B.
Yeah, I was gonna say bottom of B.
Yeah. What the thing about it is that it came up in A-level recently in a way that I didn't remember that it did. When you're estimating roots, when you're using Newton-Raphson for to find roots of things, and it's like show that this is correct to 3 decimal places, and so you do the lower bound and the upper bound, and if there's a root change between the lower bound and the upper bound, it means that the 3 decimal places has to be where the root is.
Oh, when you do it like to the reasonable degree of accuracy.
Yeah. And also in GCSE, that question when they say give it to a reasonable degree of accuracy is such rubbish. You know, where it's like you have to find which thing they both round to, as opposed
and it's
to like
something
average of it.
Near neither of them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like kids it has to be below 0.9, but to a reasonable degree of accuracy, it's 1.
Yeah. Garbage. Surds, another case of kids probably don't rate, but how can you not rate root 2?
Yeah.
How can you not rate root
Pythagoras
4?
doesn't rate root 2. Pythagoras hates it.
Pythagoras doesn't take root 2. How can you not rate I?
Yes.
But I think if we're being honest, I'm thinking A or B.
I think top of B, maybe. But then again, surds can just be written as indices.
And actually, you do end up doing that.
Yeah.
Like you don't differentiate root x.
No.
Yeah.
So maybe below indices, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like they're in I always think of indices and surds very side by side.
Yeah. Yeah, I rate that. And finally, working with expressions. Kids love it.
I think it's a lot of fun.
It's really fun. Like, what's not fun about 3 apples plus 2 apples is 5 apples?
And just messing around with algebra.
Yeah, algebra is GOAT tier. Working with expressions, bottom of S.
Yeah.
Bottom of S. And also, like, it's one of the things that if we need to make it relevant to real life, it really is relevant to real life.
Yeah.
Wait, I just realized. Did you make this tier list or find this tier list?
I made it.
Plus. But look, check out other GCSE Maths Topics tier list recent rankings. We're going to check those out after. We're going to rate those after. But wait.
Separate video.
Final thoughts. We're clearly skewed one way.
Yeah.
In a way that I think if we gave this challenge to our GCSE students, very, very, in fact, let's absolutely do that. Okay.
But at the same time, if you take away D tier, we're not that skewed.
Yeah, that's very true. It's just that we're never going to put things in D tier because we like maths.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that histograms are dead and frequency polygons are deader. I've never seen a frequency polygon in my life, aside from in GCSE questions. Yeah. I've never seen one. I don't get it. I don't think it makes sense. I don't see why. Why? And histograms, D tier.
Yeah.
Other things that pop out to me, sequences are pretty low for something that's really cool, like Fibonacci, golden ratio vibes.
But how interesting do they get in GCSE?
Quadratic sequence, I like doing that cool thing with quadratic sequences where you like do the general form of a quadratic sequence. I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, maybe. But is it more interesting than indices and surds?
No, but it might be more interesting than standard form. I think kids like them more than standard form. I prefer the standard form. If a sequence question comes up,
it's more fun.
I'm more likely to enjoy it than a standard form question. In terms of pure enjoyment, have we messed anything up? I mean, no. I don't get enjoyment from D tier that much. I mean, I like it. Look, I love maths, but look at that S tier.
If we had a paper of just that.
S tier is so good. I would literally, I rate it so highly.
Yeah.
Product of primes. We should just finish by finding our favorite product of primes question. In fact, on chelekmaths.com, there is some absolutely fire product of prime questions. But you know what? We'll save for another video. Shane, this was a joy. I'm really proud of what we've done. Really proud. The thumb. Oh yeah, wait. What we need to do is create a meme thumbnail, but we'll do that last. You know, we put histograms first, and it's like, it's like, histogram goes where? But we'll do that. We'll do that after. So for those of you that have got this far, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Shane, for coming on. If you want more content, check out the other videos on the channel, or go to chelekmaths.com for blog posts, YouTube videos, all sorts. Thanks for watching.